Okay, my next guest has been at the center of the conversation since her breakout role as Fat Amy in the smash hit Pitch Perfect. Now she has a New York Times best-selling memoir, Rebel Rising, where she shares her experience with fame, with body image, and what it really means to be healthy when the world is watching. Please welcome Rebel Rising! Mwah, mwah, mwah. Rebel Rising. How are you? Rebel Rising Wilson, hello.
Hello, hi, Oprah.
You've been listening to this conversation.
Yeah, I know. But then the whole time I'm thinking, should I bring out snacks? Or would it, which is like, is that the wrong thing to be thinking about?
I want to say how vulnerable you are in this, and was it difficult for you? Being this vulnerable. It's still very funny, of course, but I didn't know that many people would have expected you to be so open, and that the woman that we see on screen that is so confident has struggled with confidence, and you say it took a lot of work to keep all of that hidden.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely somebody who's struggled with self-worth a lot, and I've never really talked about that until writing the book, and I just felt like, okay, if I'm just going to write a memoir, I'm just going to do it full out, like kind of how I do most things in my life. So I'm just going to be really raw and vulnerable and just honest about everything in the book, even though some things like was super, super embarrassing, like losing my virginity at 35 because of having low self-worth and feeling unlovable. And that, as being somebody in the public eye is like, pretty mega embarrassing to talk about.
Yeah.
But I just thought, even if like 10 people out there connect with what I'm saying,
I think more than 10 since you're now on the bestsellers.
A few more. But yeah, and so it is weird to like write really intimate, deep things and now have it out in the world. But again, I've done it to help people feel less lonely and less isolated.
And you say, despite the success, you struggle with a deep sense of unworthiness. Why?
I don't know why. Like some of the things, I guess, sometimes being born a girl when I was born, like, and all the boys were favored. And I know that seems like really simplistic, but that I kind of felt that, and just things that happened to me. I write a lot about my relationship with my father in the book, and I just have
with
not
your father
felt
and your
good.
mother. I was telling you that one of the funniest stories, it's both funny and also sad, because I can understand what an impression it left on you, is when you had come home and you were hiding. Was it Ben and Jerry's?
It was Baskin and Robbins.
Baskin Robbins.
A pint of ice cream. And so basically at the time I was putting myself through law school, so also acting school, and then also working casual jobs. So I'd get home at about midnight and I had my little pint of Ben and Jerry's, and that's what I'd do every night. And I'd come and I'd eat it. And then this night my mum had just had enough, and I walk up the stairs with my ice cream ready to just have what I thought was like my 15 minutes of joy of the day. And my mum's like, you don't need that. And she got so ferocious, and she like snatched it out of my hand and threw it in the bin and was like, you don't need that. Like, I'm sick of you doing that to yourself. And because my mum obviously had weight issues and was an emotional eater and taught me those patterns of behavior. And it was almost like she was so frustrated at herself, and she took it out on me. With like, it was like a basketball player swatting out the ball out of their hands, and she put it in the bin, and then I went and got it out of the bin, and she pushed it away again, and it was just one of those moments. And soon after I had to like leave home because it was just too intense.
But you all are literally fighting over ice cream.
Yeah. And to me, that was the joy of working all day and trying to make something of myself. And that was my 10 minutes of joy at the end of each day.
And on page 14, you write, on the one hand, I'm a proud female. I've used my weight to my advantage. On the other hand, I'm ashamed of my eating behaviors. I feel guilty. I feel unlovable. I emotionally eat. I overeat. I'm addicted to sugar. I know I'm carrying excess weight and eventually could lead to serious disease. I know that my father died of a heart attack a few years earlier with complications due to diabetes. I know that I'm often in pain after a long day's work, my legs, my feet, my lower back. I know that at 39 years old, I've trashed my body with junk food. I guess because deep down, I think of myself as trash. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's still like quite raw, but because it makes me sad. Because why did I think like that?
Yes.
Because there wasn't anything wrong with me, or like, and I'm a great person, and so kind and loving. And why did I think that of myself?
You said that there was an emotional war going on inside yourself.
Yeah, and especially because I'm someone who, luckily one of the gifts I got given was that I was smart, and so I knew, like, I used being overweight to my advantage, and
Right.
I lent into comedy. I first wanted to become a serious actress, and then I realised, bigger girls do really good in comedy, and so I'd made millions of dollars playing the fat funny girl, and I loved it, and I really loved it.
So were you afraid to not be the fat, funny girl? Were you afraid to actually lose weight to make yourself healthier, to make yourself not following your father's footsteps?
Well, I was, because it was put to me at the time by the team around me that if you do lose weight, you will lose
Your career.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, I have two choices now in life. Do I become healthy? And the impetus for that was because I wanted to have a child. Or do I stay the same and have this great career, which I, do love? And it felt like that. Turns out that's not the truth. And you can.
So it was your doctor who confronted you actually with what you called a hard truth. What happened?
So it was a fertility doctor, and I went and I said, I'd like to freeze my eggs. And he looks me up and down and says, he also looked like Doc from Back to the Future, so just have that image in your mind. But he very seriously looked at me and said, well, you'd have a much better chance if you were healthier. And I knew I was medically obese at the time, but then I also loved my life. And and it just hit like criticism. People can criticize your movies or your work, and but this one really stung, because I thought, like, I'm not healthy. And then that's when I, got in the car and I was just thinking about it, and I called my agent, and then she's like, yeah, but, your life's great right now. Why would you want to change? But I knew that even though I'm so body positive, that I knew that I was engaging in unhealthy eating behaviors, and I did want to change that about
Is there a way to strike, and I'm going to talk to some folks later about this, but is there a way to be body positive and still be the healthiest for you?
Yeah, and I think that's what I am now, because obviously I think beauty is in any shape and size. But also I think that you can still believe that to be true, but then believe that you want to be a healthier version of yourself, and that that's the best thing to do as well. And so I knew, like, some of my eating behaviors were really unhealthy and toxic, like eating the whole pint of ice cream at night, eating a whole pizza, when and I knew I wanted to change that. And so now I've come to a place where...
But a part of that was that you were like, if I'm going to play the fat, funny friend, I'm going to really lean into being the fat friend. Yes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and I loved playing that role, Oprah. Like, that was me, and it was just that. So it was hard to kind of then say publicly, I'm going to be healthier, and I almost did it not for me, but for having a child.
Yes, and Rebel is a new mom of daughter Royce, and is
1.5-year-old
also engaged to her partner, Ramona.
There she is.
So what does weight health look like for you moving forward, both for yourself and for your baby girl?
So for me, it's just about being the healthier version of myself. So, I wasn't trying to be skinny, although I did kind of get skinny because I got so much positive reinforcement from the world. It was crazy when I did this year of health experiment in 2020 on myself, and I got so much positive reinforcement. I kind of went a
You
bit
were saying
too
doors
far.
were being opened for you?
Oh, it was weird. Like, because I know what it's like to be totally invisible, and then suddenly I dropped all this weight in 2020, and then I felt like thin people bias or something. People would offer to carry my groceries to my car, or they'd hold doors open for me, and they never did. And I know I'm an actress, but people just didn't do that before. And I was like, is this what like thin people experience all the time? Like, I was like, holy crap. It was weird. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of the coin. I mean, I'm happy now in that I found a more, just my version of healthiness and still enjoy some desserts. But it's interesting to have had that journey.
Yeah. And after everything that your agent was worried about with your career has skyrocketed.
I did end up firing that agent.
Yeah.
But
Good. So you had to also unlearn a lie, just like Jamie had shared with us earlier. You had to unlearn that lie
yeah.
that your agent and everybody else was telling you about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I just had to go on this journey of finding self-worth and self-love. And now I'm grateful that I get to put messages in my work that hopefully will help other people.
Do you feel like you're a rebel rising?
Yeah, I do, and I still feel
It's
like
not just a title for a book. It's
Yeah.
it's really happening inside yourself.
yeah, I do. I'm like I am a late bloomer, and I'm 44 years old now, and it has been this journey, but I'm so proud of it. I'm proud of everything I've gone through, and I don't regret anything.
Well, Rebel is going to stay with us for a bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oprah. Thank you.